Now, recently we got a call about a yard that got away from someone. Happens more than you think. Nothing dramatic, just time, neglect, and a few bad decisions stacking up. So today, we're gonna walk through it. Show you how we take something like this and bring it all the way back home. Now, I had a guy once tell me he was real proud of his agave. Said it was low maintenance, and it was, for about 2 years. Then the bottom filled in. Dead leaves stacked up, and suddenly that low maintenance plant needed a machete and a strong arm. Agaves like this, once they choke themselves out, you don't just trim the tips. You go underneath, and you remove the dead base completely. Same with secos. If they're crowded, leggy, reaching everywhere, thinning isn't enough. You either clean them out properly, or you take them out entirely. Now, some plants don't need the patience. They just need some honesty. You know, there was a yard I once saw looked absolutely perfect for about 3 months. Then everything grew in, and suddenly it felt cramped. Plants fight each other for space. Blocking windows, crowding the walkways. Owner said, "I don't know what happened." Well, nothing happened. He just skipped this step, staging. Before anything goes in the ground, you lay it out. Step back, look at it from the street. If it feels tight now, it's wrong. Because plants grow. And most people plant for how it looks today, instead of how it's going to look in a year. Doing it right always feels a little too spaced out. But that's how you know you're thinking ahead. Now, I helped a guy replant his whole front bed once. Everything died in about 6 weeks. Not because of the plants, but because of the holes. He dug them exactly the size of the pot, dropped them in, packed them in dirt tight, gave them a polite little watering, and called it done. Now, that's how you plant something to struggle. Roots don't grow like a stake. They spread out, so your hole should be wider than the container, with loosened soil around it. Give the roots somewhere to go. Set the plant level. Don't bury it. Press the soil firm, not compacted, and then water it like you mean it. And I don't mean a sprinkle, a soak. You're not watering the leaves. You're settling the soil, getting rid of air pockets so the roots actually make contact. Most plants don't die from neglect. They die from being planted wrong and watered politely. Now, I once saw a yard go from rough to respectable in about 45 minutes. No new plants, no mulch, just edges. Clean lines around every tree. That was it. Because edges do something nothing else does. They create separation. Grass here, bed there. The tree has its own space. When you're cutting these rings, go all the way down to the bare soil. If you leave the grass behind, it's coming back. And make the ring wide enough. Give the tree breathing room. And it keeps your mower from chewing up the trunk as well. It's not complicated, just has to be done clean. And that's the difference between a yard that looks wild and one that looks intentional. You know, mulch reminds me of a guy I used to know. His name was Dale. Now, you see, Dale had a system, and like most systems, it didn't work. Dale didn't believe in doing things twice. Unfortunately, he also didn't believe in doing them properly the first time. Now, Dale hated mulch, said it was just for looks. Didn't see the point in hauling it or spreading it, doing the same trip over and over again. So he came up with what he called the visual coverage method, which meant just enough mulch to change the color of the ground. Not enough to stop weeds, not enough to hold moisture, just enough to stand back, squint, and say, "Oh yeah, that's about right." But Dale was very proud of that system for about 4 days, and then everything came back. Weeds pushed straight through, soil dried out, and somehow it looked worse than before he even started. Because mulch isn't a decoration, it's insulation. It holds water in the soil, keeps the temperature stable, and blocks out anything trying to grow where it shouldn't. But it only works if you actually use enough of it. 2 to 3 inches. That's the number. Not 1, not whatever falls out of the bag. Enough to do the job. Now Dale, he didn't like that number. Said it sounded like more work. And he was right. Because this part right here, that's where the job either gets finished or quietly abandoned. Load it, drive it, dump it, then do it again. And again and again. There's no trick to it. No shortcut hiding somewhere in that pile. Just repetition. Well, Dale, he tried to solve that too. Bought one of those tiny decorative bags from a garden center. Spread it across half his yard. Looked like he seasoned the place. A light dusting, like Parmesan on spaghetti. Didn't really help anything though, but it made him feel productive. But that's a dangerous feeling. Feeling like you did something, even though you really didn't do anything at all. Because the yard knows the difference. It always does. Now the other mistake Dale made, he liked to pile mulch up against the base of his trees, like little volcanoes. Said it made them look finished. Now what it actually did was trap moisture against the bark and slowly started killing the tree. Mulch should be flat, even, pulled back from the trunk. Let the roots breathe. Let the bark stay dry. Simple things that make a big difference over time. Dale learned that one late, but, well, that tree didn't. And that's the thing about this kind of work. It doesn't punish you immediately. It waits. Gives you just enough time to think you got away with it, and then shows you a few weeks later what you actually did. So now you've got a choice. Do it once, or do it twice. Once properly, or once now, and again later when it's hotter and worse, and you're less interested in being out there. Now Dale, he ended up doing most things twice, some things 3 times, and by the 4th time, he might have started getting the hang of it. It's funny how that works. And somewhere in all this, load, carry, dump, again, something changes. The pile gets smaller, the coverage gets even, and the yard starts looking like it has a plan again. Not because of one big moment, but because of hundreds of small ones, done the same way over and over. Well, Dale, he finally figured it out. Said it didn't take more time, just took committing to it the first time through. Which would have saved him a lot of time if he believed it earlier, but most people don't. Not until they've done it the hard way. So you load it, move it, dump it, and you keep going until the job stops looking like work and starts looking like it was meant to be there. Well, that's about how it goes. One yard and one decision at a time. And usually a few more trips back and forth than anyone planned on. And if you made it this far, I appreciate you sticking around. Not everybody's got the patience to listen to an old man talk about grass, and where people tend to go wrong with it. But if you did, I hope you got something out of it. Maybe it's how to space things out properly. Maybe it's how deep mulch actually needs to be, or maybe it's just knowing that most of this stuff is just not very complicated. Just takes a little bit more time than people want to give it, and a little bit more consistency than they expect. That's usually where it falls apart. Not a lack of knowledge, just a lack of follow-through. Happens in more places than just the yard, let me tell you. But every now and then, you take something that was heading the wrong direction and slow it down. You straighten it out, and you leave it better than you found it. And that part really never gets old. So whether you're out there fixing your own place or just watching someone else do it, I'm glad you were here for this one. We'll do it again on the next job. There's always another yard, and usually another guy doing it the Dale way. Take care.